Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Radiantly Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Mookie, and I have created this safe space for us to uplift one another so that way we can start operating in a more authentic way by simply just embracing our feminine energy. So if you can't tell by the title already, we are going to be talking about protecting your energy when you are dealing with jealous friends. So we're going to be talking about how to deal with this with grace because I am not anything if not graceful. So I thought this was really important to talk about because I didn't realize, I talked about this in my last episodes. If you haven't listened, please do. But in the last episode, I talked about how I didn't realize I was pretty. And when you are pretty, that triggers certain things in people. And a lot of the times that can trigger insecurities. So when somebody, and it doesn't even have to just be your physical aspects of yourself. People will see your personality, they will see the things you have, or even just your aura, your energy. And they will get a whiff of that and they're like, I don't have that. And they will get upset at you. And that's what triggers jealousy and insecurities. And so we're just going to go ahead and get right into that. In the episode, I won't deep dive in that. We're still in the beginning part of the episode. So let me calm down a little bit. But yeah, people will see that and they will see what you present or how you carry yourself is what I'm trying to say. And that will trigger a lot of negative feelings within them. So if you've ever felt like a friendship shifted after you shared moments about your growth or success, or you started just becoming more confident, if you felt a shift in the friendship, or if you felt like close proximity to you, or giving somebody or certain people access to you meant that you were being placed on a pedestal, or you were being studied or observed rather than actually being connected with, then this episode is definitely for you. So it was really important for me to make this episode because jealousy in friendships is a very uncomfortable topic for people to talk about. And I think that a lot of people are more prone to give the person experiencing the jealousy, I think they're more prone to give that person more grace than the person that's actually, being targeted as a result of triggering jealousy. I think we're more prone to dismiss jealousy when it shows up. And I also think that we're not really privy to seeing jealousy when it's not someone actively saying, I'm jealous. Because a lot of the times when people are hiding their jealousy, it's hidden. But there will be certain things that they say and do, which a big part of this episode, but there will be a lot of things that they say and do that will signal that they are jealous. So I'm making this for the girls that experience jealousy in their friendships and don't know why, or they're experiencing signs of jealousy and don't really know what to do. Now, when we are talking about jealousy and you're experiencing jealousy in friendships and you really don't know what to do, it's not about being cold and cutting everybody off. It means that, especially when we're talking about dealing with jealousy in a graceful way, it means that you are going to respond to jealousy when you notice it. You're going to respond to it with wisdom. You're going to respond to it with boundaries, and you are definitely going to respond to it with self-respect. Because when you allow jealousy to continue after you've noticed it, if you allow it to continue, you are quite literally disrespecting yourself. And I don't care what anybody says. When you are allowing somebody to disrespect you, especially when disrespect is disrespect, but when disrespect comes with jealousy, then you are disrespecting yourself because you are allowing somebody else to disrespect you, which means you do not respect yourself. So what is jealousy? I think it's really important for us to understand it before we go into this deep dive of how to deal with it and whatnot. So jealousy is an emotion. I think it is a normal emotion. And after the girl on TikTok came up and, expressed her jealousy towards her friend, a lot of people were, coming at her. And if you haven't checked out the episode with Pretty Privilege, I had a guest on there and we talked about this a little bit, but it's actually a really good episode. I really enjoyed having that conversation with her. So I really suggest that you guys check it out. But she talked about experiencing jealousy that was triggered by her friend. A lot of people came at her. It was just so many different comments that I was seeing being thrown at her. But what I was seeing, a lot of people ditch the video and say that jealousy is not a normal emotion. I don't know where we're all at with emotions, but an emotion is emotion. I don't necessarily see emotions as good or bad. I think they can be perceived as negative and positive. But to me, an emotion is an emotion. An emotion is normal, a normal human reaction or feeling. So jealousy is one of those. Now, what we do with jealousy, that can be bad or good. And that's with any other emotion. If we're experiencing anger and we take it out on somebody, that can be good or bad. I mean, if we take it out on somebody, that can be bad. If we're experiencing sadness and we're projecting that on other people, then that can be good or bad. The emotions aren't bad. I don't think they're good or bad. They are just simply emotions. It's what we do with them when we are experiencing them is the good or bad part. So when I say jealousy is normal, it's a normal human emotion, I don't want you to confuse normalcy with tolerance. So just because something is normal does not mean you have to tolerate it. Now, I do think that jealousy is rooted in comparison. It's rooted in insecurity. It's rooted in the fear of being left behind. It's rooted in the fear of unmet personal desires. Now, like I said, emotions are not good or bad in my eyes, but it's what you do that determines whether it's good or bad. So if somebody is feeling jealous occasionally, then that doesn't make them a bad friend. It doesn't make them a bad person. But if they are acting out or holding on to resentment or doing things that sabotage the person they're jealous of, then that is the problem, because they are not able to manage or express that emotion in a healthy way. Now, for me, I think there are two ways that you can experience jealousy, but jealousy for me has always showed up as inspiration. I've never felt angry or I've never felt some type of way at somebody for having something that I didn't have. I've always felt inspired. So I think that jealousy can come up, and jealousy gets a bad rep because people don't often know how to manage or flip it into something positive. I am somebody that always sees the glass as half full. So when I see somebody have something that I don't have, I don't go into this negative spiral. And I think that's the problem around people who experience a lot jealousy and express it in a negative way. So I think there are two ways that you can experience jealousy. I think that jealousy can show up as inspiration to you, and it points you to something that you desire. And you're like, I didn't know I desired that until I saw it, and now. So that is jealousy from a positive standpoint. Jealousy from a negative standpoint, and I'm not an expert. I just want to say that to you guys. I'm not an expert. These are things that I'm talking about from learned experiences and things that I read and things that I hear. So if anything is, not factual, then please let's have a conversation about it in the comments or whatnot. But these are things that I've learned through experience. So when somebody is experiencing jealousy in a negative way, they will still have that thing of, I don't have this, or this is making me feel a negative or a big emotion, and I don't like the way this is feeling, so I'm going to express this by holding on to resentment or hating this person that's triggering it. So I think that there can be two different ways that people experience jealousy. Some examples of jealousy when it shows up in friendships is, do they celebrate your win, or do they find negative things or poke holes in your bubble, basically? And this is going to stem from unmet personal desires and a fear of being left behind, because this person can basically see that you have something that they desire, and then you having it is triggering that, oh, I'm lacking this. I lack this, even though I'm desiring it. But also it can be, she has this, so what's tying her to me? I can be left behind potentially because she's on to bigger and better. So again, it's that negative spiral. That's what it is. I'm sorry, it's a lack mindset. I don't have that. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm talking and I'm just like, it's having a lack mindset. When you are somebody who experiences jealousy in a negative way, you most likely have a lack mindset. But if you don't have a lack mindset, you're not going to experience jealousy in a negative way. You're going to experience it in more of a positive way, because it's like, oh, that person has that, I could potentially have that too. That's what it is. Okay, guys, I just had to end the episode. I'm just kidding. Okay. Another way jealousy can show up in friendships is, do they become dismissive or competitive? And this can stem from comparison. They are comparing themselves to you. They are using you as a measuring stick for how good they are doing or what they have in their life. Another way that jealousy can show up is they start to withdraw or become very critical, and that will stem from insecurity. So those are all distinctions that somebody is experiencing jealousy on their end. Now, like I said, people do not tell you when they're jealous unless they're saying it in a joking way. But even I don't joke in the sense of saying, oh, I'm jealous. Like I kind of give people a side eye when they say that, because I know people have normalized that as a joke. Like, oh, I'm jealous. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. I'm envious. Like, I even hate saying it right now, but it's like I hate hearing that because it's not a joke. You're actually telling the truth. Even if it's small, even if you're trying to minimize it. I really don't like when I hear people joking about jealousy. But like I said, people will not tell you that they are jealous unless they're saying it in a joking way. But their behavior, their facial expressions, and their actions will always tell you. So you always have to keep your eyes open. You always have to just listen and just pay attention to the way people are expressing themselves. So let's say you have a friend that's trying to minimize your accomplishments. Let's say they act like it's not a big deal. This is basically an attempt to bring you back down to the level they're comfortable with you being at. And they will also try to humble you. And for me, I didn't realize that a person in my life was jealous. Like, they had jealous tendencies, but it wasn't clicking for me. It wasn't clicking that they were jealous until I saw them try to humble one person after another. Oh, okay. This person has a jealous mindset. Like, they are jealous. Okay. And it's not necessarily that they were trying to humble me, but they were trying to humble other people around me. And I was just like, they're being triggered. They are feeling some type of insecurity. So they are trying to bring people down to a level that they're comfortable with them being at. This is basically going to be from friends that are experiencing insecurity triggered by you. Also, jealousy will show up as constant competition. So this is somebody that's trying to one-up your experiences. They always have to basically redirect the conversation to themselves. I don't think that that's the only sign that somebody's jealous, because I used to do that, and that was just more of a self-centered thing. It wasn't jealousy. When I say one thing, make sure they have more than one thing if you're trying to determine if that person is actually jealous, because one of these is standing alone. It can mean multiple things. So yeah, they're trying to one up your conversations. They're trying to redirect every conversation back to them. And telltale sign that they are in constant competition is that they are comparing themselves to you. They are comparing themselves to you. They're using you as a measuring stick. They are looking at what you have versus what they have. They are just constantly evaluating you for what you have, and then basically just using you as a measuring stick. So a lot of times this will show up as them copying you or trying to replicate you, as if they are trying to take on your identity. And a lot of times this can come from insecurity as well, where they are not comfortable being themselves, or they are not happy with themselves. So they have to try to take on somebody else's identity or somebody else's energy, so that way they can be who they think you are. And jealousy will show up as constant comparison. If they feel threatened by you, they will try to say things. Even I see people do this unconsciously, but they can do this consciously as well, where they will try to say things in front of other people to embarrass you. And it's usually in front of other people. It's not necessarily like in one-on-one conversations. They will try to say things to just basically bring you back down to a level where they're comfortable at. This is kind of going in line with humbling you. And then jealousy will show up as backhanded compliments. So this will be praise mixed with criticism. They will say one nice thing to you and then try to bring you back down. So again, this is all pretty much humbling behavior. And a lot of the times, jealousy will show up in the way that they express unhappiness with their own life. Again, when people are in a lack mindset, they do not think that they have the things that they desire, or they don't think that they're capable of getting the things that they desire. So they will express a lot of unhappiness within their own life, and this will also show up in the way that they speak about other people in their lives. That will be a huge sign of jealousy. And this is not necessarily going to be towards you, but if somebody is unhappy with their life and they're speaking negatively about the other people that they have in their life, then 9 times out of 10, they are experiencing jealousy, and they are projecting that, or it's triggered by the people that they have in their life, not necessarily just you. Another way jealousy will show up through backhanded compliments is if they imitate you or imitate others rather than giving genuine praise or genuine compliments. They will try to replicate and basically take on, like I said, another person's identity or energy rather than just being their authentic self. And two other ways that jealousy will show up is lack of support during huge milestones, or even just any milestone for you. And then they will find it a lot easier to celebrate your setbacks or be there when you were down. Because again, the setbacks will be on a level that they're comfortable with, because they're probably stuck in misery since they are experiencing jealousy from a negative standpoint. and the milestones, the things that you're accomplishing, are on a level that they're not comfortable being at with you. So they will have silence during your successes, and they will withhold compliments or encouragement. And then they will be there for your setbacks, like I said, because they'll just seem more engaged, like they are really interested that things are not going well. But this will show itself as support. They're being supportive. They're being there for you. They're listening. Like, they don't want to see you do bad, but they want to be that listening ear or the shoulder to cry on. So they are much more likely to be there for you when you are down or having a setback. So I do have some questions that you can ask yourself when you suspect somebody is jealous of you, or you suspect that the person that you have a friendship with is jealous of you. You can ask yourself, how do I feel after spending time with this person? Do you feel energized? Do you feel neutral? Or do you feel emotionally depleted? Because that is a huge one. They are basically just draining you of your energy because you and your friend were basically equals at one point. They saw you on the same playing field. But people that have a lack mindset or that experience jealousy from a negative standpoint, they are more prone to pedestalizing people. Now, when you pedestalize someone, you are basically unconsciously placing somebody above you. So when somebody pedestalizes you, they are going to do things. They're going to look for flaws. They are going to basically try to sabotage you to bring you down to their level. So this is why pedestalizing is really bad, and you don't want to be around people that are jealous or pedestalizing you, because they are going to do things to bring you down. So they will try to humble you. They will try to do this and that, look for flaws to bring you down to feel okay with being in close proximity with you. Otherwise, it's going to trigger their insecurities and their jealousy. Now, a part of acknowledging that a friend is showing signs of jealousy is being able to acknowledge that that friend is pedestalizing you and using you as a measuring stick. When they are using you as a measuring stick, it doesn't necessarily have to be your looks or your energy or anything like that. They are basically looking at their life and comparing it to yours. They are saying, I have this and she has that. And I don't know, I can't really get into mind that. I can't really speak as to why they do that, but that's what people are doing when they are comparing themselves to you, when they have placed you above them. They have unconsciously placed you above them, and they don't realize that when they are pedestalizing you, that they are unconsciously placing themselves as less than you. So that's why pedestalizing can be really dangerous, because they're seeing themselves as less than and then seeing you as more, and it can cause resentment and a whole lot of other negative feelings to come up for them. Now, it's easy to take another person's jealousy personally, because when you are kind-hearted, when you have a big heart, you will have this natural desire to keep the harmony, to keep the peace. So when somebody is showing signs of jealousy, it can be a lot easier to take that personally. But I want you to know that you shouldn't be taking it personally, because it's always going to be about the other person and not you and what they're going through internally. We will also be more prone to taking jealousy personally when we have the fear of being perceived as too much. So a lot of the times when somebody is aware that people are jealous and they don't like that and they're trying to keep the peace, they will shrink themselves. They will play small. They will minimize their accomplishments, or they will just act very humble because they're aware that they're around jealous people. And then we also will take jealousy personally when we feel responsible for other people's emotions. So we are trying to manage other people's emotions. But when you are in adult friendships, which I'm assuming we all are, but when we are in adult friendships, we all have our own agency, and you shouldn't put yourself in a parental role where you are managing somebody else's emotions. That's not healthy for you or that other person. So I do want you to know that you are not responsible for other people's emotions, and you are not responsible for making yourself smaller just to make other people around you comfortable. Be comfortable with taking that space up. Take that space up. You're going to exude confidence, and this is your life, baby. Like, you shouldn't be trying to play small just so somebody else can be happy in their miserable life. Like, no, absolutely not. Okay, so now that we've talked about jealousy and the signs to look out for, let's actually go ahead and talk about how to handle jealousy with grace, now that we've gotten the signs and everything out of the way. So I want you to lead with compassion. Like I said, jealousy is more about the other person rather than you or what you did, or being worried about triggering their emotions or anything like that. Recognize that somebody else's jealousy often points to someone else's pain for not having something or having unmet needs. So I want you to avoid immediately labeling the other person. And it's okay to say, hey, this person is experiencing this emotion, they're experiencing jealousy, they're experiencing sadness, they're experiencing insecurities, without taking it personally and without labeling them as a bad person. Because, like I said, all emotions, all human emotions are normal. It's what the other person does that makes them bad or good. So if you were experiencing a friendship where jealousy has come up, just lead with compassion, because it's about them. It's not about you. Yes, you may have triggered it, but it's not about you. It's about them. So just lead with compassion, because they are dealing with unmet needs. They're dealing with internal struggles that we can't be a part of. The second thing that you need to do when you are trying to handle jealousy gracefully is avoid dimming your own light. Like I said, don't play small. It's not your responsibility to play small. Don't shrink yourself. Don't minimize your accomplishments. Don't minimize yourself. Be you, be the goddess that you are, without dimming yourself and without playing small just to make somebody else comfortable. Like I said, when you are operating in your authentic self and you have this light about you, you are going to trigger people naturally. So it's their job to do the internal work on themselves. Point them to my podcast if you need to, but it's their job to do the internal work themselves so that they can be happy within, rather than being mad at somebody else for being happy. So continue celebrating yourself, continue celebrating your achievements, even if that means it's going to be without that person. Because you should be allowing yourself to experience joy instead of guilt. That's all I'm going to say about that part. And then the third thing that you need to do in order to handle jealousy gracefully is maintain healthy boundaries. Your boundaries protect you. They protect your peace, they protect your energy, and they protect your space. So if you have somebody in your life that is showing signs of jealousy, you need to put those boundaries up. And when I say put those boundaries up, this is going to be you not over explaining your decisions. You're not going to tell this person, hey, I'm going to set this healthy boundary with you because you did this and this and this. Just go ahead and do it. Let them know, like, if they need an explanation, that's fine, but don't go down the path of over explaining yourself. And then I want you to also protect information that feels sacred and valuable to you, because that can just make things a little bit worse for both of you all. Now, the fourth thing that you can do to handle jealousy in a graceful way is address patterns directly if it's appropriate. So for me, I tried to get in the habit of using I statements. I felt a certain way when I noticed this and this taking place. I try to avoid saying you, because when you use you statements, it feels like blame and an attack to the other person. So when somebody's like, you did this, you did that, you did this, it can feel like an attack. So you do want to be mindful of that. And that's something that I'm working on as well, is trying to use more I statements. I am more prone to doing that when I'm texting, because I'm like remembering it in real time. But when I'm talking, I'm just trying to get my words out. A lot of the times I can forget to say I instead of you. And then the fifth thing that you need to do when you are trying to handle jealousy in a graceful way is just release the need to be understood by everybody. Not everybody is going to understand you. And sometimes when you are explaining yourself multiple times, that person is incapable. They're showing you that they do not have the capacity to understand you. So once is enough. Twice is overdoing it, in my opinion. Say it once. Say it once. You are as clear as you're going to get. Say it once, and that's it. If you have to keep explaining yourself over and over again, you're over-explaining. And they do not have the capacity to understand you. So when you release the need to be understood by everyone, you are realizing in real time that some friendships evolve and some don't. And both of those situations are okay. And when you release the need to be understood by everybody, you are going to have to acknowledge that growth is naturally going to shift certain dynamics. So when you are growing and improving yourself and improving your mental health and everything like that, you are going to experience some friction. Your friendships are going to shift naturally, because when you are doing the work, the internal work on yourself, you're raising your frequency. You are moving up to another level. And that can cause misalignment, because if you were like here, if you guys watching me on YouTube, if you're here at the microphone, the microphone is your friend, my head is you. If you're here with your friend and you are leveling up, you're growing, you're putting in the work to grow and raise your vibration and, just be a better person. And as you move up and your friend is down here, still staying where they were when you met them, Maybe they are going, but they're moving at a slower pace, or you guys are just not moving at the same pace or moving in different directions, whatever the case may be. That is going to cause a misalignment. So of course, the friendship, there are going to be shifts in the friendship, and that's okay. But you do need to realize that removing the need to be understood by everyone is essential to handling jealousy in a graceful way. Like I stated at the beginning of this episode, protecting your energy, especially when you're experiencing jealousy and friendships, it's not about being cold. It's just protecting yourself. It's self-protection. So you're not going to worry about being cold and ghosting somebody. I want you to understand that there's a huge difference between openness and discernment. When you're using discernment, you are looking at somebody as a person, and you are recognizing that they are comfortable with operating a certain way. So you can still be open and you can still want the friendship to work. But if you are using discernment, you are recognizing that this person is operating in certain patterns, and you have to use that discernment. Those patterns align with what you want and what you desire. Well, align with you and what you desire. So protecting your energy simply means that you are being selective. You're being selective with the type of people that have access to you and your inner world. So that is going to be the best way that I can sum up protecting your energy, because when I say being selective, it's not about being cold and cutting everybody off and starting off from scratch. No, just look at people, use discernment to determine who needs access in your world, in your life. And then you also want to be able to choose reciprocal relationships, people that define friendship the same way you define friendship, people that are able to show up the same way, so that way one person isn't overgiving in the friendship. And if they're not capable of doing that, that's okay. They're just showing you the level that they're comfortable operating at. They're showing you what they have the capacity for. So if somebody is not your person, that's okay. Not everybody is going to be your person. I also want you to realize that compassion and boundaries can coexist. It doesn't just have to be one or the other. We can have compassion for people, we can have desire for people, and we can have boundaries. We need to have healthy boundaries with people. So these things can coexist. If you guys want, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on like numerous episodes, but Bell Hooks is one of my favorite authors, and her book, How to Love, talks about love in a conceptualized way. In her book, she said, love and abuse cannot coexist. And I think that's true for so many things. And not just even abuse, I think that disrespect and love cannot coexist. So when you are experiencing mistreatment and disrespect and abuse and this and that, and then they're turning around and saying, I love you, it's not true. Even if it's true for them, it's not true. I don't think those things can coexist. But I do think that compassion and healthy boundaries can coexist. And the last thing I have for you guys to protect your energy without coming off as cold or becoming cold is allowing the friendship to just naturally change. Just accepting people for who they are, because people are people. We can't change people. We can't make people act a certain way. We can tell them when things are bothering us, but we can't hold these expectations over their head to change those behaviors. So you let them know, and you stand back and watch and see if these things are going to change. If not, they are showing you that they do not have the capacity for that. So I want you to allow the friendship to change if they don't have the capacity to, evolve with you or become a reciprocal friend. If they don't have the capacity for that, just allow the friendship to change naturally without viewing it as failure. They're not your enemy. They are not your nemesis. It's just a friendship that didn't work out, and that's all it is. And like I said, you have to be selective with allowing people into your inner world. Some people are meant to just view your inner world from the outside. They're not allowed in. Some people need clear, super clear boundary to be let into your inner world. And some people can outgrow access into your inner world. And all of those things are okay. But as long as you're consistently using discernment to see who has access, not just once they get into your inner world, but you have to also use discernment once they're in your inner world so that they can maintain access. So I want you to think of like being selective with access to you as a membership. You have to make sure somebody is keeping up. They are keeping up with their payments to maintain access. And if they're not, they have to go. And that's just that. You don't have to be cold about it. You can have a healthy conversation about it or not. I prefer healthy communication, but I do not like repeating myself. So yeah, it's up to you. I have some questions that you can ask yourself. These can be reflective questions, of course, to just consider to see if you need to reevaluate the friendship once they have access into your inner world. So question number 1, can they genuinely celebrate me? Question number 2, do I consistently leave interactions feeling diminished or drained? Question number 3, am I constantly editing myself around them? Question number 4, have I communicated my concerns, but the behaviors haven't changed? Question number 5, is this friendship supporting who I'm becoming? Question number 6, does this friendship feel emotionally safe? So if you've answered no to any of these questions, you may have to reevaluate the friendship. I would recommend answering no to more than one just to make sure. But if the friendship's not for you and you're feeling that way, that's probably why you are listening to this episode. Or if you had a friendship that came to mind when you started listening to this episode, that may be a sign to reevaluate that friendship. Now, I will leave these questions in the episode's notes. Please use them if you need to journal about them. That's completely fine. That helps you get to the nitty-gritty of it all. But just sitting there and thinking about this and just using these as reflective questions can help, and they can go a long way. And I want you to know that choosing distance is simply an act of self-respect. So if something's not working out for you, that's okay. But I don't want you to start disrespecting yourself just to avoid that hard conversation or just to avoid distance. And I want you to know, I want to reiterate this, that jealousy is a normal human emotion, and we pretty much all experience this in one relationship or another, but it does not have to dictate the quality of the rest of the friendships or relationships that you have further down the line. So this is my opinion, but I do think that it's very important to distance yourself from people that are showing signs of jealousy, because they are choosing to step out of a healthy dynamic. Even if it wasn't healthy before, they are showing you that they don't have the capacity for a healthy dynamic or a healthy friendship with you. And you can, be empathetic, respond with empathy when you are noticing somebody is showing signs of jealousy, but you still have to remember to honor your values, your standards, and your boundaries. And the people that are asking to grow alongside you and remain in a friendship with you will not subject you to things that you wouldn't subject them to. So that is going to be it for this episode. And I do want to thank you guys so much for being here with me and listening to me talk about these things, because I really do think it's an important topic to talk about. It can be uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about. I think we all get to a point in our lives where we are not okay with dealing with these certain dynamics anymore. So it's important to talk about these things and just have a refresher on signs, just in case we are finding ourselves stuck in certain situations and we need just that momentum to get out of whatever situation we're in, or we're going back and forth in our heads. I think it's really just important to have these conversations for when we really actually need them. So I do have a quote by Maya Angelou, and it says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So that is going to be it for this episode. Again, I love you guys so much for being here, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.